If you have high school or college age kids, you've probably heard quite a bit about AI this year. Students are using sites like ChatGPT to help with school assignments, to help with essays, and many schools are cracking down on the use of these artificial intelligence sources. But AI is also transforming business and our everyday lives. Attorney for online business owners, Brittany Ratelle, is joining me to share what AI can do for you. Brittany, this is so funny, my personal and professional life colliding. My husband and I have been talking about this all week. He's a data engineer, and he gets a kick out of plugging certain questions or inquiries into these sites and seeing how accurate, how scarily accurate they can be.
Right.
The broad use of artificial intelligence, it hit pretty quickly this last year.
Yeah, it kind of just blew up. I mean, it's been around the field, and it's the merging computer science with huge data sets, and then the ability of computers to think and learn. But I mean, it's super timely. I just got an email alert that President Biden is convening a council to talk about the safety concerns, because there are some inside and outside the tech industry about this is all really exciting, and are we sure that we're not like headed for Armageddon?
Yes, there are some obvious safety considerations. Before we jump in, basic definition for the terms of our conversation, AI is what?
Big picture is any kind of computer science matched with a machine that can think and learn. And so not just strict input or output, but an actual computer science that has the ability to reason and to go beyond the parameters of what was programmed inside of it.
And it's high-tech science, yet women are using this for some common everyday activities like what?
Everything from writing blog posts and church talks, funny story, I've seen that in action, to coming up with recipes. You input what your ingredients that you have, and it can spit out a recipe that uses what you have, to summarizing big blocks of information, right? Think of like the classic book report, getting a bunch of information into a smaller size.
I want to sidebar and hear the church talk story, but we'll press forward. You've got some general guidelines to consider before we just start using AI, making it part of our everyday life. First, you say the human touch cannot be replicated.
Absolutely. And it's a good thing for business owners to keep in mind, to double down on what is it that's unique about you as a human, from your perspective, from your story, especially because the law right now says you cannot protect or register the copyright to anything that's created by AI, which means you can't keep other people from using it. It can't be uniquely yours. So something to keep in mind if you're making this like a hero part of a business or a product or an offer.
And it's last week I had an experience where an influencer I love and follow and look up to kind of peeled back the curtain and introduced us to her assistants who write all of her content. And it was kind of this little, like you still want to hear the human voice and the human experience. There's some integrity and ethics, I think, around this conversation too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what people who are looking at this sensibly see it as a tool and not a replacement. And it's okay for us to use it as a tool, just like how we use the internet and software as a tool, but not to overstep or, oversimplify that human experience and how complex that is.
You're encouraging your clients to do their research and keep listening. What do you mean by that?
I mean that this is an area that's changing really quickly. And so as you're experimenting with tools, you should be paying attention to what data sets are they drawing from, because there's real concerns about bias, about copyright infringement. Getty Images is suing right now one of these big AI companies, saying, hey, you're using all these images and we didn't get a license for you to use those, right? And so depending on if you are a creator and it's your work that may be being used in other people's, or you're just drawing on other people, you should really make sure you're looking to see what the law is trying to do to quickly catch up with how these data sets are using information and content.
And finally, quickly, you want us to go wide for our inspiration. Explain that idea.
Right. It's kind of the concept of stealing like a creative, in that the more and the wider influences you draw from, the better your creation and your remix is going to be. So, use your tools, but then shut down the computer, shut down Pinterest, Google image search, and get out a notebook. Go outside, go look in fashion and nature, go wide, and then let it all percolate up in your head, and you're going to come up with a more creative remix.
We've got a list of specific sites and apps you recommend. We'll pop that on the screen. I'm curious to know, what is one, if a woman out there, the everyday woman, wanted to dabble with this or experiment creatively, see what it might do for her, what one site would you recommend starting with?
Yeah, I think Chat GPT is probably the most popular, and it can do lots of stuff in content generation and ask questions. And I've played around with it. It can even do some legal contracts. Although the thing is, you have to know what terms to play around with it. So if you're going to go with one, that's the one I would probably start with. And then Canva is also really fun if you're more interested in the visual, and that's inside of that Canva software. But it is doing all kinds of cool things. If you give a text prompt, and it actually comes up with a photo of that. So it's like a cool text to art kind of simulation.
It
So.
is cool. It's interesting, also a little bit scary, but we did acknowledge that. And Brittany, we value your voice and your advice. Where can we hear more from you, sister?
You can always find me at Brittany Ratelle and all the places, Instagram, and I actually have a new YouTube channel. So if you like watching video, which you probably do because you love Brooke, find me on there.
I'll be finding you because I do. I would love to hear more from you always. Brittany, thank you so much.
Thank you.